Hey, I thought I'd do a quick overview for Phantom Blade Executioners. If you played Rainblood Chronicles Mirage, boy, that's a tongue twister. Apparently this game is made by the same developers. I actually caught that one of the music tracks was identical to that game. Turns out it's made by the same people. This is a mobile beat-em-up with, I guess you could call it God Hand combat tree mechanics. There's gear sets, pretty much all the stuff you like. If you like beat 'em ups that have a lot of gear and stats and stuff, I think you'll be right at home here, pretty much. So let me go into training room here and show off the mechanics. Before I start, there's two things. This game does not have official controller support. I am using Mantis Gamepad Pro to play this right now. However, they do plan to have this game on both PS4, PS5, and PC at some point, so I assume that, hopefully at least, they'll put controller support in this at some point. So at first glance, this is pretty standard stuff. You got a double jump, you got a dodge, you've got a parry. The unique thing about the parry is that it's on a timer, so it's not one of those games where you could just mash block and try to fish for a parry. You have to really work for it. The window is actually quite small. So you have two attack buttons. Actually you have three. You have your basic S string, and then you have your combo tree. If you played God Hand, it's actually very similar. You have complete control over what buttons or what moves are used in that sequence. So here's my second combo string. And you can mix and match them at any given point. Now you see in the upper left-hand corner, there's that bar that's the flame that's depleting. What that is, that's your Sha Chi meter. That gives you a variety of buffs, and also some moves will be buffed if you use them when you have Sha Chi. So right now, my first string expends one part of the bar, whereas this string is, I set it up to build it. As you can see there, it went up quite a bit. You also have a super. A little bit cluttered right now because I have an ability that makes these little companion guys come out. So you have to pay attention to which button does what, because if you use an aerial move, your character will jump up, and you might not always want that because there's a chance that it can get you hit. So like this is a launcher. This is like a big launcher from the ground, but you can also use it in the air. At the end of this string, the first string, I have a Helmbreaker, so if I do it from the air, he will do a normal DMC Helmbreaker, but if I do it from the ground, he will jump up and do it first. So there's actually a lot of strategy that goes into how you use the combo tree. So let's go ahead and look at the menu really quick. So here's where you can customize it. You will get more slots for this as you progress through the game. But right now this is open beta. The level cap is 44. I actually completed all the content in the beta, so this is about as far as you can get. You can see you've got a couple slots here when you level up more, but that's not possible right now. So basically I have this string for like a crowd control, and it's also good for single targets, and then I have my aerial string, which is I mostly use it to alternate between both strings and kind of manage the cooldowns, but it's also good for trash mobs as well, and you can mix them. Like this move right here, this move pulls everything in, so when I get to the third part of that string, I like to cancel into the launcher and just do this full string, and if I group everything up properly, then I won't have to worry about cooldowns. There's a lot of strategy to this. There's lots of moves as well. There's also a class system too. As you can see, this is like the flame-oriented class, and this is the dark-oriented class. Now you cannot mix and match these. You can only use moves from one particular class. So right now I have all of these equipped. and that allows me to be the Dark Raider. But if I want to be the Infernal Blade, then I have to take everything off and only put those colored moves on. So as you can see here, I've got a decent amount of Shao-Chi regeneration at the start, and then the other ones will expend it. There are also phantoms in the game. Phantoms are basically your gear. They're like your secondary gear. You have normal gear sets and stuff in this game, but these actually go on your moves, and they have different properties. Like this right here, whenever I do this launcher, because I have this phantom on, every time I do this, as long as the cooldown is off, then it will summon those 2 minions, which is actually really nice for bosses. They'll take some aggro. Their AI is pretty dumb. I definitely think they should improve that, but it's nice to have. So pretty much every time that I start a fight on a boss, I can just go into that right away. I also have some set bonuses here. When you have Lethal Gaze and Rows of Thorns on your combo chains at the same time, all skills and attacks have a 20% chance of summoning a laser beam or thorny trap that damages targets for 200% of your attack. Really nice to have those. So let's go ahead and check out the gear. First thing I'll say about this game is the amount of gear you could carry is legendary, and after playing stuff like Avengers where you have to inventory manage so much, you have 1,000 slots in this game and you can very easily get rid of it all. In fact, let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's get rid of everything that's purple. I'm pretty much at the end of the game, so I got a bunch of materials there. The set bonuses are actually pretty interesting. Like, I have this 2-piece set right here. So every time I gain 5 Shao-Chi points, which is basically your meter, I can damage all the targets nearby for 600% of my attack. Likewise, let me find the right set here. I also have the Iron Cast set, which allows me to give all the moves more shield break and also do more damage to breached enemies. That means when they're guard broken. Guard broken either means that you can juggle them if they're a light enemy, or if they're a heavy enemy, then they'll just be stunned for a while. So that's basically the set I'm working with right now. I also have this 2-piece set too. The first skill on each combo chain gains 30% shield break, while the last skill gains 30% damage. So if you shield break and you do that full string, then that last hit is going to do a lot of damage. Now for your phantoms, there is an attunement limit. If you play Neo, it's very similar. You can only attune so many at once, and it goes up as you level. So right now I've pretty much all got legendaries. This is a beta, so they give you a lot of opportunities to get them. Right now the pity is, once you get 120 of these, the Phantom Memory Essence, you can pick any of the ones in here, but because of the event and because they're wiping, they actually give you a lot of these that you can just pick whichever one you want. So let's go ahead and pick this one. Let's check him out. So here's the one I just got. The Sync skill summons the Sword of Mercy, dealing damage equal to 300% of attack to targets within a certain area. And then his set bonus, I guess you just get a flat damage increase. That's actually not bad. Okay, so that's the gist of the mechanics. There's actually a lot of strategy that goes into choosing your moves, because some will be good for certain situations, and then you also have the phantoms as well. You need to put those on the right spots, and then you need to have the set bonuses for the adjacent slots. And then you need to generate your Shao-Chi so that you're doing more damage, and you're also proccing whatever's on your gear. That actually feels a lot like a more modernized version of God Hand. God Hand was very much the same way. You didn't just want to put the strongest damage moves. There was a lot of strategy into what you chose that would allow you to deal with all the situations the game would throw at you. So we're going to check out just a regular level, and then I'll go into some of the end game. I actually uploaded some basic gameplay earlier, so if you want to see some unedited, gameplay, and go ahead and head there. Let's pick a decent level here. You guys can see a little bit of this with actually knowing what's going on. My last video was not commentated. So this is the Dark Raider class, and I acquired this by putting all of the Dark Raider moves on my tree, my combo tree. There's no, like, being locked into a class. It's not like DFO where, you know, you have one class that you can pick, and unless you get, like, a special item or something, you can't respec. Here you can change it at any time, which is really nice. So you're not going to need, like, you know, 4 alts of a character. They did say that they're going to be adding more subclasses later on, so essentially all you would have to do is just make sure you have the right moves on your slot. Okay, so in terms of gear, you can upgrade things at any time. I'll say one thing. It's got the standard, you know, RNG that you get in these kinds of games, these foreign games, but you can upgrade so fast. Look at this. Very appreciated. No long animation. Like I just did it about a couple dozen times. And you can also re-roll the options as well. Like this one can only roll into these. So let's go ahead and re-roll this. Advanced skills cooldown. Sure, I'll take it. So if you want to min-max, you'll have to do that, but there is a new set every 10 levels. So at the way the game is right now, you want to just focus on your level 40 set, it seems. Weapons are not part of sets for whatever reason, so you pretty much just roll whatever you can find. But yeah, that's a relatively optimized build. I haven't looked at any information for this game at all. I pretty much have just been going in blind. I managed to clear all the content, so I'm happy with that pretty much. So let's show a little bit of the endgame. The endgame in this is actually really fun. I'm actually surprised at how in-depth it is, given that the game's not finished. So you have normal, hard, and master difficulty, and once you clear master, you can actually scale up the difficulty, and you get more drops, and then eventually when you get to a certain point, you can guarantee the item drops. But right now, the stat scaling is massive. I was not able to do it, and I was kind of just wanting to focus on just finishing this overview, so we're going to do just base master. We'll do just base master. So you can hire an AI companion. If you've ever played like the Neo games, it's pretty much the same. You get a not very smart AI companion that comes in with you. What's nice is that you can actually control when they use their super. So generally you want to just hire the most powerful one. This is a combat power mechanic, similar to Closers, DFO, all those kinds of games. The levels in this game are randomly generated, meaning that it's kind of like a roguelike. The layouts will change. Purple rooms are basically side rooms. Either side quests will be in there, a difficult boss, or the best thing that you can get out of here is the merchant spawns, and he will just sell you set pieces outright for the currency. Now, it only refreshes once every half hour, so if you see something you like in there, you gotta scramble to get those funds. You can't cash on this game right now, so I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. Okay, so the merchant did not spawn this run. And if he does spawn, you can actually get a pretty good chance of completing your set. Unfortunately, the polish is a little bit off. You can't tell what you have equipped currently, as far as I know. It can be a little bit wasteful. It's actually pretty expensive to get pieces from him. But they've got a lot of ways to mitigate the RNG, which I think is really nice. Especially since some armor sets are only good for specific job advancements. Like there's some for the Infernal Blade and there's some for the Dark Raider. So it's nice that you have some options to mitigate it or even get guaranteed gear if you can power up your character that much, which seems admittedly very hard in this beta. And I mean, they're wiping anyway, so it doesn't matter. Okay, so there's a set piece. Let's see what we got. So that's basically the level 30 set, which I have partially equipped right now. You get a bunch of experience, and you get phantoms that you can use to fuse into the ones you're actually using. There's all my phantoms there. So you got a pretty decked out build. I'm not sure what the meta is. I haven't really looked at anybody else playing this, but yeah, that's basically your overview for Phantom Blade Executioners. I think this game has a lot of potential. I say the main problems with it is the lack of controller support. Visual feedback is pretty bad in this game. Certain builds can really just clutter the screen with particle effects and stuff. The parry window, I definitely think, should be relaxed a little bit because it's already got a pretty large cooldown. The fact that the window is so small and then you have like a 2-second cooldown on it as well, I think it's really unfair. They really want you to use the parry, but a lot of times it's better to just use your just dodge because that will generate Shao-Chi, and also, you know, you have invincibility frames, so you're more likely to clear the attack. I'm a little bit disappointed. The parry is super strict. You do get a good payoff for it, but especially when you get to the end game, if you're not geared properly, certain things will just kill you in a couple hits. It's just not worth doing. Other than that, I think this game has a lot of potential. I'm actually surprised at how in-depth the end game is for something that's not finished. They did not mention when the full version will be out, which I think is a good thing. I think one of the biggest mistakes they make with these unfinished service games is they say that, you know, the game's going to be out in a month, and if you know anything about game dev, that's nowhere near enough time to actually, you know, read all the feedback and, you know, have meetings and stuff about, you know, what they want to implement and what they don't want to implement, and then actually having people sit down, you know, on the computer and implement those things. So I don't know when the official release will be, but the game is supposedly going to be on PS4, PS5, Android, which I'm playing on right now, and PC. If they can fix a little bit of the polish, I definitely think that going in some of the side rooms doesn't always feel worth it, because there'll be like an HP Sponge boss in there, and they very rarely drop anything. I think they should make getting full clears a little bit better. You do get more experience from it, but it's definitely a risk you might not always want to take. Sometimes you might just want to go to the boss, because you can only use one revive in those dungeons, and if you wipe, you don't get to keep anything. I definitely think the risk-reward should be increased a little bit. Going in those rooms should have more of a tangible reward more often. I definitely have found that when I'm actually trying to get set pieces in this, when I was doing the initial level cap grind, sometimes I didn't want to go in those rooms because I'd just be fighting another boss class enemy, and they just don't really drop anything that much. I'm sure they'll get a lot of other feedback as well. I do hope that with the next beta that they'll increase the experience or something. I've been playing this game for I don't know how long. It's got to be at least a dozen hours or more, and you know, if these kinds of games, the most feedback you need is for the end game, because that's where, you know, most people are going to be spending most of their time, and the people that spend money on your game, you know, the ones that actually keep the game running, you know, that's what they're going to be doing most of the time. You need to really get feedback on that content and make sure that it's good and that it's not driving people away. And right now, it takes a really long time, and some of it is really hard to clear with the gear and the abilities that are currently in the game. Hopefully next time they'll have like a double experience or something so that you can get to that point faster. I really doubt the way the game is now that they will get a lot of feedback about the end game content. However, for the most part, it's been pretty manageable. There's lots of ways to mitigate the RNG. The only real problems I've had with it is just going into the purple rooms doesn't always feel worth it, and some of the current endgame content, like the really endgame content, it feels overtuned. Like the first couple generic enemies in the first room feel like they have like 20 digits of health. So I'm not sure if that's just because it's not really meant to be done at this current level cap, or this current level of content. But other than that, I think this game is really solid. I could see it really replacing some of the other stuff I play. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this overview. Like I said, this game will be on console and PC, so if you're not a mobile gamer, you don't have to worry about that. Hopefully they will implement controller support, because I definitely had to jump through hoops to make this really playable for an old fart like me that's not really used to touch controls. But once I got past that barrier, I've had a lot of fun playing this, and I can't wait to see how it develops. Thanks for watching.